Good evening, friends. In last session, we started our chapter circle from 10th standard geometry section of mathematics, and we finished almost practice set 3.3. Only one problem is remaining. Now I am going to discuss this problem with you and we will proceed. Okay, so this problem is remaining, problem number 3. Okay, now we will see this problem in detail. So adjacent figure is given here. This figure is given to you. Okay, and we have and in this figure chord AB and chord CD are given as congruent. Okay, these two chords AB and CD are given as congruent, and we have to prove that arc AC is congruent to arc BD. Okay, so here if we see, so this type of circle is given to you, and here they mention arc AB. Let us see, this is arc, this is point A and this is point B, and this is arc C and D. Okay, so we have to prove that here arc AC is congruent to arc BD. Okay, provided that chord AB and chord CD are congruent, means what we can say, chord AB is congruent to chord CD. Okay, it is given. Now, as we all know, the corresponding arcs of congruent chords are congruent, isn't it? So, with the help of that theorem, that is corresponding arcs of congruent chords are congruent, we can write arc AB, which is equal to arc CD, isn't it? Because these are nothing but the corresponding arcs, arc AB and arc CD, corresponding arcs of the congruent chords. Then we can also write it as a measurement of arc AB, which is equal to measurement of arc CD, isn't it? I just wrote it down in the form of measurement. Now if we see, the arc AB is nothing but measurement of arc AC plus measurement of arc CB, isn't it? Arc AB can be written as, from diagram, measurement of arc AC plus measurement of arc CB. Okay, equal to, as it is. Now arc CD can be written as measurement of arc CB plus measurement of arc BD. Okay, here we have to write down the complete arc. Arc AB can be written as AC plus CB, simple way, and arc CD can be written as CB plus BD. Okay, if we see here, this both arcs CB, or we can say these both arcs, arc CB and arc CB is a common. Okay, so we can write it as a measurement of arc AC, which is equal to measurement of arc BD, isn't it? And that is also written as arc AC is congruent to arc BD, isn't it? And that is what we have to prove. So in this way, what I did first, I just wrote it down, given term arc AC, chord AB and chord CD are given, and based on these chords, if chords are congruent, the corresponding arcs of congruent chords are also congruent. Then based on this, I can write here arc AB equal to measurement of arc AB equal to measurement of arc CD. Then I can write it, arc AB can be written as AC plus CB and CD can be written as CB plus BD. CB CB cancel out and you can write arc AC is congruent with arc CD BD. Therefore we can write it at arc AB, arc AC and arc BD are congruent. Okay, so this was the last problem from our previous practice set, that is practice set 3.3. okay, now we will see next part. Okay, in this way we have finished this problem also. So we almost completed our practice set 3.3. okay, I suggest you all that once it's solve it once again, then it will be easier for you to solve in examination. okay, then we will start next part of this chapter. So circle chapter is basically largest chapter of all among all the chapters in your geometry section particularly. So in next we will see this concept, we commonly called it as a inscribed angle. okay, so here, so if we see in this diagram, so here diagram is given, circle is drawn with whose center is C. The vertex D of angle PDQ, here vertex D is given for angle PDQ, which is lies on the circle itself. D point is lies on the circle, or vertex D is lies on the circle. Now the arms of angle PDQ intersects at circle at this point, at point A and at point B, isn't it? So such an angle, or such type of angle are called as angle inscribed in the circle, or we can say angle PDQ is inscribed angle in that case. okay, now in this diagram, angle ADB is inscribed in the arc ADB. If we see this angle, I am discussing about angle ADB, so this angle particularly, okay, which is inscribed in the arc ADB. This angle is inscribed in this arc, isn't it? Now if we see this next term, that is intercepted arcs, so there are total 6 diagrams are given. In each diagram, if we closely observe, arc of a circle that lies in the interior of angle ABC is an arc intercepted by the angle ABC itself. Means what? The arc inscribed, or we can say the arc in the interior of the angle ABC. So for example, in this first figure, I am discussing about first figure. So in this figure, this angle ABC is an arc intercepted by angle ABC itself, isn't it? Now the points of intersection of the circle and angle are known as end points, isn't it? End points of that intercepted arc, we commonly call it as a end points. okay, each side of the angle has to contain at end point of the arc, whether you say major arc or minor arc, it will contain end points, isn't it? So in this complete diagram, which consists of 6 subfigures, if we see diagram, that is I am discussing about first diagram, then I am discussing about second diagram and third diagram. okay, if we closely observe these 3 diagrams, we will come to know only one arc is intercepted by that angle ABC, isn't it? So if we see first diagram in which angle ABC, so arc inscribed is AC. Similarly for second arc is BC. Similarly for third again is AC, isn't it? And remaining diagrams, so these are the remaining diagrams, that is 4, 5 and 6. If we see, 2 arcs are intersected by the angle, such as for example for arc AC and arc ABC is there, isn't it? Likewise 2 arcs are there in remaining 3 diagrams. okay, one important point is there, only one side of the angle touches the circle. Particularly if we see these 2 diagrams, diagram 2 and diagram 5. okay, in these 2 diagrams, if we closely observe, we will come to know only one side of the angle touches the circle, isn't it? Here only this angle is touches the circle, or here this angle touches the circle. okay, okay, in diagram 2 and 5, only one side of the angle touches the circle. But if we observe the diagram 6, that is last diagram of this group, so this diagram, it consists of both sides of the angle, in which both sides of the angle touches the circle. So here, isn't it? So this side AB and this side BC is also, both are touching the circle at point A and C respectively. Okay, now if we see this diagram, most important concept here, you will come to know the arc is not intercepted arc, isn't it? Because why this is not intercepted, this point, or this complete line BC, which do not intercept the circle itself, or we can say the side BC or arm BC does not contain any point of the arc. Okay, it is completely away from this circle, so not a single point is intercepted by that arm BC to the circle. Okay, so here we cannot say that, or we can say that arc is not intercepted arc in this case, because the BC does not contain any point of the arc. Okay, zero, no point will touches the side BC, isn't it? Now we will see inscribed angle theorem. This is most important theorem. We basically this theorem we need to use this theorem in while solving many problems for next practice set. Okay. Now basically theorems, either they will ask in your examination for we have to prove that theorem, or we can use this output of that theorem in the problem in order to solve that problems in a easy way. Okay, so hence theorems are most important, so do not skip any theorem. Okay, so we will see inscribed angle theorem. So in this theorem it is stated that measure of an inscribed angle is half of the measure of the arc intercepted by it, isn't it? So for example, so in this theorem a diagram is given. Okay, circle with center A is there. Okay, sorry, circle with center O is there. Angle BAC is inscribed in arc BAC. Okay, and arc BDC, this arc BDC is intercepted by the angle, isn't it? That particular angle BAC. Okay, and what we have to prove, that angle BAC is half of the measurement of this arc, that is arc BDC. Okay, now we will see, for which we need to draw some figure. We have to modify this figure, we have to do construction in it. So we have to draw a ray which joins point A and O. Okay, and now it intersects. If I extend that ray, it will pass from point center of the circle and it intersect the circle at point E. Here it intersect the circle at point E. Okay, now radius, we have to draw a radius, that is we have to draw this part because we need to create a triangle over there. Okay, so draw radius OC. So these two constructions necessary. We can draw a ray passing through point center O of the circle and it intercept the circle at point E, and we have to draw the radius as OC. Okay, now we will get after we draw the radius, we will get triangle AOC. So in this triangle, if we see, side OA is equal to side OC, because both are radii of the same circle, OA and OC, then they are congruent. Okay, if we see again angle OAC, so this angle, and angle OCA, this angle. Okay, so which is equal to X. Sorry, because they are as they are equal, because as the side is equal, then this triangle is isosceles triangle. If isosceles triangle is there, that angles are also equal. Then if we assume these two angle as a X, okay, angle OAC and angle OCA is equal to X, let us say. Okay, now let us consider angle EOC. So I am discussing about this angle EOC, that below angle. Okay, so I am discussing about this angle EOC. Okay, so this angle EOC is nothing but angle OAC, that is OAC plus angle OCA, isn't it? Because this is nothing but the exterior angle. We can write this as by using exterior angle theorem, isn't it? If this angle EOC equal to angle OAC plus angle OCA, then we already assume this as a X. Angle OAC is also X degree and angle OCA is also X. So we will get this angle EOC as a 2X. Okay, now but if we see this angle EOC, this angle EOC, isn't it? So this angle is a central angle, because this what we can say, this it will inscribed, or what we can say simply, vertex is the circle of the center, center of the circle, hence this angle EOC is a central angle. Okay, now if angle EOC is a 2x, we can write arc EC. So this arc, I am discussing about this arc is a 2x. Why it is 2x? Because according to the measurement of arc, isn't it? Then I will give this as a equation number 2. I will give this equation as equation number 2. Okay, and this is your equation number 1, which we assume as x. Okay, so from E1 and 2 we can write angle OAC, which is equal to angle EAC, isn't it? I extended it, it becomes EAC. You see, because OE and AR lies on the same line, or we can say these points are collinear. Then we can write angle OAC equal to angle EAC, which is equal to half of the measurement of arc EC, isn't it? Measurement of arc is 2x, and this angle should be half of that 2x. So we can write it as a measurement of arc EC. Okay, so I am giving this as a equation number 3. Okay, now what I will do, I will just draw segment OB. Let us say I will join these 2 points. Okay, we can easily prove this angle EAB, just opposite half. Up to this, what we have seen half circle on right hand side. Similarly, if we join segment OB, we will get same results on the left hand side of the circle, isn't it? That is angle EAB equal to half of the measurement of arc BE. So this arc, isn't it? So I will give this as a number, this equation as equation number 4. Okay, now we will add these two angles, angle EAC plus angle EAB. Just I am adding corresponding right hand sides, which is equal to arc, or half of measurement of arc EC plus half of measurement of arc BE, isn't it? So we just put the values there. Therefore, if we see this angle EAC plus angle EAB, we can write it as an angle BAC, isn't it? This complete angle BAC. So this angle BAC equal to half of measurement of arc EC plus half of measurement of arc BE. And if we see measurement of arc BC plus EC plus BE equal to BEC, so this complete arc, isn't it? So this is nothing but this complete arc. Okay, now if this is the complete arc, we can write it as a half of measurement of arc BEC. And if we see here BEC, we can write it as also BDC, because this D point is also lies in between the arc. So BEC can be written as a BDC. Okay, now see, for determining the position of the center of the circle and the inscribed angle, we need to consider 3 cases, or 3 important parameters. Okay, first parameter is what? First is one of the arms of the angle, isn't it? Then we have to consider interior of the angle, and third one is the exterior of the angle. Okay, so these three, out of these 3 conditions, if we see, if we observe equation number 3 and equation number 5, I am discussing about this equation, the equation number 3 and equation number 5. Okay, you will come to know first 2 conditions are already proved. That is on one of the arms, one of the arms of the angle is there, and then interior, in the interior angle is also there, using equation 3 and 5. Okay, now we have to consider the third criteria. Okay, for which we draw some changes, or we will make some changes, or we will consider only this portion of the diagram. So I am just considering this portion of the diagram of the complete circle. Okay, so in this diagram, if we measure the angle BAC, which is equal to, now we have to subtract, we can write this angle BAC as angle BAE minus CAE. If we subtract this CAE portion from the complete triangle or complete angle, we will get angle BAC, this portion of the angle, or BAC. Okay, so we can write it as a angle BAC equal to angle BAE minus angle CAE. Okay, we have to consider this diagram. Now if we see, angle BAE can be written as half of measurement of angle BCE, or arc, particularly half of measurement of arc BCE, isn't it? So because this is the inscribed arc, or we can say the included arc of the angle, minus we can write CAE is a half of measurement of arc CE, isn't it? Similar way. So we can consider equation number 3 as a reference for which. Okay, now if we see half is a common term, we will write it as a measurement of arc BCE minus measurement of arc CE. And if we see, if we subtract the BCE, CE from BCE, okay, arc CE, if we subtract it from arc BCE, we will get only BC. Okay, so finally it is half of measurement of arc BC. So I will give this as the equation number 6, or we can say angle BAC equal to half of measurement of arc BC. Now we can also see from equation 6 we can write this theorem as a measure of an angle subtended by an arc at point on the circle is equal to half of the measure of the angle subtended by the arc at the center. Okay, means half angle BAC equal to half of measurement of angle BC. Mathematically we can write this. Okay, now in this way we can say that the measure of an inscribed angle is half of the measure of the arc intercepted by it. Okay, now we will see some of the corollaries of the inscribed angle theorem. Okay, so first there are two corollaries. First one is angle inscribed in the same arc are congruent. So here if we see in this diagram, angle inscribed in the same arc are congruent. Okay, means what we can say, these angle AOR and angle ACR, okay, which is inscribed in the same arc, that is arc PTR. Okay, so these two angles are congruent. Okay, then we will see second corollary, that is angle inscribed in a semicircle is a right angle. Okay, so here we will see angle inscribed in a semicircle is a right angle. We can also prove it, no issue. Now we will move ahead. Then we will see most important concept, that is cyclic quadrilateral. Okay, now what is cyclic quadrilateral? If all the vertices of quadrilateral lie on the same circle. Okay, for example, let us say which is called as cyclic quadrilateral. Okay, if let us say one circle is there, okay, whose center is O, and I am drawing this, let us say these are the 4 points on the circle. First one is, let us say, P, second one is Q, third one is R, and fourth one is S. Okay, then what is cyclic quadrilateral? If all the vertices of quadrilateral lie on the same circle, isn't it? So in this diagram you will come to know all the vertices. So this is this one, second, third, and fourth. They are lies on the circle. So actually this should be like this. I'm just correct it. It is like this. Okay. So all these vertices of the quadrilateral are lies on the circle. Hence this is known as cyclic quadrilateral. Okay. Then we will see theorem for which theorem for the cyclic quadrilateral. Okay, so according to theorem, what we can say, opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. Okay, so what we have to prove, simply angle, so these opposite angles, angle B and D and angle A and C, so these angles are supplementary. Means what? Angle B plus angle D, what we have to prove, angle B plus angle D, which is equal to angle A plus angle C, because they are opposite angles, and they which is equal to 180 degree. Okay, so we can easily prove it. I will skip it because this is just given in the activity format. We just have to put the values over there. Okay, now we will see the corollaries of the cyclic quadrilateral theorem. According to the corollary, what they mention, see here, an exterior angle of a cyclic quadrilateral is congruent to the angle opposite to its adjacent interior angle. Means what? If we consider the exterior angle, that exterior angle of the cyclic quadrilateral is congruent okay, to the angle which is opposite to the adjacent interior angle. Okay, now we will see the second important theorem, that is converse of the cyclic quadrilateral theorem. Okay, so according to the converse, if a pair of opposite angles of quadrilateral supplementary, then quadrilateral is a cyclic. Okay, actual theorem is what? If the quadrilateral is cyclic, then vertex are lies on the circle, isn't it? And corollary, according to the converse of that theorem, if pair of the opposite angles of quadrilateral are supplementary, then quadrilateral is a cyclic. Okay, now we will see some of the solved problems, and we will solve the next practice set, that is practice set 3.4. Okay, now in this example, if we see, a diagram is given here. Okay, so in this diagram, chord LM is congruent with chord LN, which is given. LM and LN are congruent. Angle L is given as 35 degree. We have to find out the measurement of arc MN, and we have to find out the measurement of arc LN. Means we have to find out this arc and this arc. Okay, now we will going to solve this. So here basically we have to use the theorem of inscribed angle. Okay, so this angle L, we can write this angle L is equal to half of the measurement of arc MN, isn't it, as per the inscribed angle theorem, because this arc is inscribed in angle MLN or angle L simply. Then angle L is given as 35 degree, half as it is measurement of arc MN, which we have to find out, which is your first answer. Then if we multiply it by 2, we will get 70 as the answer of measurement of arc LN, sorry, measurement of arc MN. Okay, so this is nothing but the 70 degree. Simply first part of answer we will get using the simple theorem, that is inscribed angle theorem. Okay, now we have to see the second part, that is arc LN. Okay, now if we are able to calculate the angle M, okay, so and if we multiply it by 2, we will get this arc LN, isn't it? So let us see measurement of arc MLN. Firstly we will see this arc MLN. If we see here, the arc MLN is the major arc, isn't it? So this arc is major arc, and my minor arc is MN. Minor arc is with us, we already calculated is 70 degree. Okay, now because basic according to the measurement of arc, if major arc equal to 360 minus minor arc, simply I have used this formula over here. Measurement of arc MLN equal to 360 minus measurement of arc MN, that is minor arc. So 360 minus minor arc is, we have calculated 70. So 360 minus 70, it is found to be 290 degree. Hence we will get this MLN as a 290 degree. Okay, now as it is already given, two chords are congruent, that is these two chords I am discussing about, given chords LM and LN are congruent. Okay, then corresponding arcs of the congruent chord are also congruent. So we can write the arc LM equal to arc LN, isn't it? Because arcs are congruent, chords are congruent, and we already proved that in that theorem. If, or what we can say, the corresponding arcs of congruent chords are congruent. So according to that, arc LM, so this arc is congruent to arc LN. Okay, now if we see, okay, we can see here in this diagram, chord LM and chord LN are also given are congruent. Okay, as it is given as congruent, we can say this angle M and this angle N are also equal, because this triangle MLN becomes isosceles triangle, and according to the theorem of the isosceles triangle, angle M and angle N are equal. Okay, or we can write angle M plus L plus N. Therefore we can write angle L plus angle M plus angle N equal to 180 degree, isn't it? We can write here also, that is angle L plus angle M plus angle N, which is 180 degree, isn't it? And this L is given I can write M as angle N. So this is 35 plus angle M plus angle M, because M and N are equal. I can write M as a N, which is equal to 180, or we can say 2 times angle M is 180 minus this 35 gets subtracted, and we can say 2 times angle M equal to, if I will subtract 180 minus 35, I will get as a 145. Therefore this angle M can be written as 145 divided by 2. Okay, we will get angle M. Now you will see why I am interested to calculate angle M. So now if I will get angle M, I can calculate arc Ln, isn't it? Because measurement of arc Ln is equal to 2 times this angle M, isn't it? So therefore angle M is with me, 2 into 145 divided by 2. If I will simply put this measurement of arc Ln equal to 2 times angle M, so it becomes, which is equal to 2 into 145 divided by 2. So 2 get cancelled out, I will get as a 145, isn't it? So this is nothing but your answer. So arc Ln is 145 degree. Okay, in this way we can calculate these two arcs. We have to use simple inscribed angle theorem, and we have to use some basic properties of addition of arc. Okay, now we will see the second problem. So in the second problem, if we see, or we will solve this problem in our next session. Okay, thank you.